So recently, I was coming to a realization that in a lot of my most recent use of the Quad Cortex, I've really kind of abandoned the use of captures for amps and have been relying a lot on the built in models within the device. And I'm not sure when it happened, I'm not sure why it happened, but it was something that as soon as I realized it, I was like, why am I doing that? Not that the models don't sound good and not that I haven't been happy with the results I've been getting. But one of the most powerful features of the Quad Cortex is its ability to do captures. And so let's make sure I'm remembering to kind of keep one foot in that world, so to speak. So I figured maybe a good place to start would be to go back to some of my favorite capture packs from Amalgam. I've done a whole series of videos on different capture packs from Amalgam, and I definitely have a few favorites. And it's not something I've been purchasing much lately, but my favorites were some of the original ones that I purchased that were DI capture packs. I could mix my own IRs with them. Later, a lot of the newer ones that were coming out, they were only releasing, capture packs that included the cab as part of the capture. And I wasn't as happy with those. And I think that may have been what led me to stop kind of exploring the Amalgam captures. I know they've been going back to issuing more DI packs, and I'm thinking I may, explore those in the future, but let's start with what I have and kind of start with kind of three of my favorite capture packs that I initially got on the Quad Cortex that really opened my eyes to how good captures could sound. And so I figured let's revisit those captures, kind of compare them, and use that as kind of a starting point to maybe to getting back into captures. So if we go over here to Cortex Control, I've got three capture packs that I think are my favorites on the Quad Cortex. One is the Amalgam Tone King. The second was the Car Mercury, which is kind of more of a Marshall-inspired amp. And then the third was the Two-Rock ODS, which honestly was one that took me a while to get to come to like, especially on some of the cleaner tones. But as I learned more about how to control captures and how you can tweak captures, and I did a whole video on that, I'll post to it here, I really started to get more out of the ODS capture pack. So what I've done in each of these presets is I've got it set up basically in the same way. All three of them have four captures that I found that are my favorite side of the pack. A clean one, kind of an edge of breakup one that's kind of a crunch rhythm kind of tone, and then one that's kind of a lead tone. On the back end, I've got a analog delay, actually before the IR, and then I've got an IR. I'm using the same IRs for all of these so we can kind of compare what the captures sound like. And then I've got a plateless reverb on the end. Up front, I do have a capture that's one of the factory captures for the Bogna X Blue. I'm using the number 5 one. So this is kind of a OD boost in front of the amp. And this is one that I saw in one of the recent preset videos that I did. And I wanted to kind of get to know it better. So I figured let's use that for this purpose. So all these presets are set up in the same way. And I guess I should say that these captures are purchase captures from Amalgam. So I can share these presets, but if you download it, you won't get the captures because you'd have to pay Amalgam for those. So with that said, let's dive in. And what I want to do today is look at each tone type. We'll start with the clean tones and we'll compare them across the three capture packs. And then we'll go to edge of breakup and repeat the same thing and so on and so on. So let's start with the clean tones. So I'll start with the Tone King. And right now I'm on the neck pickup of my Yamaha RGX, which is a single coil. And let's hear how it sounds. So just a really nice clean tone. Tone Kings are built kind of in more of an American architecture in terms of Fender-like. And I've always really liked the Tone King captures from Amalgam. But let's compare it to the others. So if I go to the Car Mercury, again, this is more of a kind of a Marshall-y kind of tone. So not quite as big and full as the Tone King. I think it's a little brighter, maybe a little thinner. We could add a little bit of mids to it, maybe, and maybe a little bit of low end. So definitely sounds good. I don't think the clean sounds as good as the Tone King. If we go to the 2-Rock, and this is where I was saying before that I had to learn how to tweak the captures and be willing to tweak the captures. Initially, when I started using captures, I would just, put them in and really not touch them at all. Maybe I might deal with the output volume or something. But in this case, whenever I used the OD50 clean, I was always upset with how much gain there was. It wasn't clean. And it took me a while to get used to the idea of adjusting that input gain and getting more of a varied gain level from the capture. So a really great sounding clean as long as you pull that gain back. If we compare it back to, the car and the Tone King. I think the Tone King has a little more gain to it. I might want to pull that back a little bit just because it's got a little bit of dirt in there. I need to push the volume just a little bit. So definitely the two favorites for me on the clean tone are the 2-Rock and the Tone King. I think I maybe prefer the Tone King a little bit, even though the 2-Rock I think is a little better for if you're doing like a clean kind of lead kind of thing, single note. There's definitely more of a Fendery chimeness to the Tone King, which is what you would expect. So let's go ahead and move on and check out the edge tones. So I'm going to go ahead and save it into edge mode. And here we are on the Tone King, which is one of my favorite tones of captures. This kind of edge of breakup Tone King is really nice. Compare that to the car. Again, the car still has a little bit of thinness to it. If we go to the ODS, So really nice tone here. I think, again, it's between the 2-rock and the Tone King. And I think just like with the cleans, the ODS has a little more warmth to it, maybe a little more mids, but the Tone King has a little bit of top-end sparkle that it just makes the neck pickup sound really good. Let's go to the crunch tones. And we'll go to the bridge pickup. Definitely starts to get a little kind of fuzzier on the low end. I think that's part of kind of that Dumble sound. We go to the car. And this is where I think the car starts to catch up to the other capture packs. I think the amp, once you give it more gain, like a Marshall, it starts to sound pretty nice. And then the Tone King. Here again, like the ODS, it starts to get a little fuzzy on the low end. You compare that to the Mercury. And then if we go to the lead, so the Tone King always has this really nice kind of presence. It feels like it's very kind of not in your face in an aggressive way, but it's just very present in the tone. It's really nice with the single coils. well with a neck pickup at that much gain. So let's go ahead, let's switch back to the clean. And let's boost it. Again, I'm using this Bogna X, and just so we can hear what it sounds like. And you still get that kind of little bit of a thinness there with the car, but I'm sure if we boosted the crunch, when you get more gain. And if we try kind of boosting the like the ODS, it is really nice when you boost it. We boost the edge. If we go all the way back and do the boosted lead on the 2-rock. It's kind of nice. That boost maybe gives you a little more top end and makes the neck pickup work on this much gain on the ODS. Or without the boost, I felt it. It just gets kind of flubby. But when you boost it, I don't know, I feel like it adds a little bit to it. So definitely these captures are, I like them. They sound as good as I remember them. I think in general, if I had to pick one, it'd be between the 2-rock and the Tone King. I think I like the Tone King on the lower gain stuff a little bit better than the 2-rock. In terms of the gain tones, I think that's where the car Mercury starts to shine a little bit when you crank it up. I think the gain tones on that sound pretty good. The lower gain tones on the car, to me, sound a little bit thin. And there's obviously different captures from the pack I could use. I'm using the balanced. I maybe could use the warm or something like that. These are the ones I landed on as my favorites back when I first used these, so I'm going to stick with these for now. And so I'll put a link in the description to the playlist of all the Amalgam videos that I've made. So if you want to do any specific deep dives into either of these packs or some of the other packs that I've gone through, you can check that out. But for now, like I said, this was just me trying to kind of get back into the mode of really checking these captures. And now that Amalgam is doing more of the DI capture packs again, I may start to look and see if there are any over there that I want to get, maybe pick up a few. Anyway, I hope you found this helpful, and thanks for watching.